WTIM. You're listening to WTIM, your information station, and our morning show. It's brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Grayson Bauman, and joining us in this segment, we have Taylor Sinclair. Taylor is the 4-H Youth Development Program Coordinator with the University of Illinois Extension. Taylor, good morning to you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's a little cold. I could use a little bit warmer weather, but that's okay.
I could also go for the same. Thankfully, we've got that coming up this weekend, and I know for you, it's a lot of fairs and a lot of summer, and I'm right there with you. I love the summer, and definitely sad that it is not here. But one thing that kind of opened up in the early stages of fall, I guess not even technically fall, was 4-H open enrollment. You wanted to tell us a little bit about that, and I'm wondering what you've got for listeners out there.
Yeah, so it's open enrollment season right now. So really that season kind of runs till all the way through April, really. But if anyone has any interest and wants to maybe know some more information about 4-H, or just want to ask some questions about, getting their kids involved in 4-H, all they got to do is call the office at 217-287-7246, and they can just kind of chat with us about their different questions, and maybe we can even explore what some of their youth interests are and even make recommendations on the different project areas that might be of interest to them at the time.
Well, I'm definitely glad you mentioned interest, because you and I were talking before we got our start here about, really that's one of the first questions I want to ask is, what are you interested in? Because I think a lot of people assume that 4-H is one thing, but it's so far from. So you love hearing about the interest when somebody calls in, and that kind of helps you put things together for them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think, like I mentioned a little bit ago, I had someone, they had sent me an email. They've kind of attended a couple, the different workshops that I've had. And they kind of shared, I don't really have any livestock, but my daughter is interested, and I'm interested in getting my daughter into 4-H. What does that look like? Knowing that, we aren't in the ag field. We don't have any livestock. We don't have chickens and sheep or anything like that. What's that look like? And I was like, well, what kind of interest does she have? And she had mentioned, she really enjoys photography. And I was like, well, that's great, because we have a photography portion in 4-H. It doesn't have to be ag related to be in 4-H. It can be anything. It can be cooking. It can be sewing. It can be, it kind of just goes on and on, whether it's just visual arts and they're really creative, or they just want to explore more leadership opportunities.
That's the thing that Taylor has helped me dispel in terms of what exactly is 4-H. And so perfect person to call is Taylor Sinclair with the University of Illinois Extension and 4-H, talking open enrollment that started September 1st, really running through about April, with that being the case. So get a hold of her if interested. And now we get to kind of prove ourselves here that 4-H is much more than what you might suppose, with your first workshop that you have coming up. And what is that, just a day or so? It looks like you've got a photography contest going on. What can you tell us?
Yes, so this is one of our unit contests that we do. We kind of just wrapped up our pumpkin painting contest, and we're getting ready to wrap this one up also, but this is the 4-H fall photo contest. I love these unit contests for different reasons, because some of the kids get to be so creative. I want to say, I think I remember one of the pictures last year that someone submitted. They're on top of a grain bin, and it was a combine harvesting, maybe it was corn, and it was beautiful. It was like a sunset, and I was like, I could put that on a frame in my living room.
That is awesome.
Yeah. But this is for ages 5 to 18. There's 3 different areas. For Cloverbud ages, I have age 5 to 7. We have a group for age 8 to 13, and another one for ages 14 to 18. And to be able to get involved in this contest, you do have to be a 4-H member to compete in this. So once you're a 4-H member, you can send your submission in, and then we'll kind of do a bit of a voting process. We'll share it out to some people and do some voting, and then we'll be able to share who gets the top number 1, first, second, and third for each age category.
Okay. And it looks like with the submission, you just need your name, your county program, and your age. And so we'll be kind of divvying it up, it looks like, as well, as you mentioned, like Cloverbud's 4-H member ages 8 through 13, and then for 14 and 18-year-olds as well. What's the best way of actually getting my submission to you?
Yes. Okay, so our commission person for this is Kate Harding. She is our Macoupin County 4-H coordinator there, and her email is harding at illinois.edu.
Okay.
And the deadline for that is tomorrow.
It is tomorrow for the contest, being the case just around the corner. And also noted on here, only one entry per member. So you've got to really pick the right photo, it sounds like.
Yes, yes.
Well, good luck with that. Anything else you want to tell us with the 4-H Fall Photo Contest before we move into another busy event coming up?
I think the only thing I can say is some of the kids, they really put a lot of time into those photos with the details and just like picking, like I mentioned, like a kid went on top of a grain bin, took the photo of a combine harvesting corn, like just things like that. Like they can be so creative with it. We'll eventually have a winter contest, and we've had people like take a picture of like the snow and just the beautiful scenery. Like those are perfect submission opportunities and ideas.
Well, there will be apparently plenty of submission opportunities when it comes to snow, as they're calling for a whole lot of it around here. Not apparently that's probably not good for either of us, apparently, but in that case, maybe good for some photos. So that is a look at tomorrow, the deadline for that 4-H Fall Photo Contest, and the submission at Harding at illinois.edu. A quick email over there with your one photo, as you get one entry per member. You haven't stopped there, as on November 16th, we've got some sewing coming up. Taylor, what's going on there?
Yes, so this one will be located in Montgomery Extension. So here at the Hillsborough office. This is from 2 to 3:30. You do have to be a 4-H member for this. That's mostly just kind of for insurance purposes, to make sure if something happens, like you're covered under our policy. It's a $10 cost. They'll get to make there's a couple things that they get to make. They're making a pillow. They'll make a bag. They also get to make a pillowcase, and then they even get to make a table runner. And they could add more onto that. It would just kind of depend how much time and how fast the kids are kind of moving through that.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, you're okay. And the dates for that this starts this Sunday, so it's for 6 weeks. November 16th, the 23rd, the 30th, December 7th, 14th, and 21st from 2 to 3:30.
So with that being the case, you mentioned like we're making maybe a pillow, a bag, a pillowcase, a table runner. Are you doing a different item each week? Is that how that's going?
Yes. Yeah, and some of it too, like a lot of the kids, like they could move a little bit faster or a little bit slower, just kind of depends. But for those kids that are moving faster, they just kind of like keep them rolling, and we'll get them started on like the next project. So that way they're able to kind of complete all of their projects. And just kind of keep, exploring and diving deeper into sewing. I think Marty even mentioned that, which, by the way, Marty, the person that's teaching us, she's been a really long time volunteer. She's been a volunteer for 40 years. She taught myself to sew whenever I was in 4-H, and then I actually learned the other day that she had taught my aunt to sew whenever she was in 4-H. So just kind of fun to think about.
Well, very cool in terms of like kind of the connection between the two things. And I'm wondering real quick, Taylor, the event fee set at $10. Is that $10 each week, or is that for the whole course?
No, so that is just for the whole thing. And that's really just to cover cover the materials to be able to use for the projects, the fiber to be able to make the pillows, that sort of thing. So that kind of covers all of it.
I've got to say $10 for 6 different sessions is really not a bad deal. So on November 16th, 23rd, and 30th, and then December 7th, 14th, and 21st from 2 to 3:30 p.m. at the Extension office in Hillsborough, learn to do a little bit of sewing. Anything else you would like to tell us about this, Taylor?
Just a kind of reminder, like you do have to be a 4-H member to be part of this club. So if they are interested, give our office a call. And I can kind of talk with them and get them into our 4-H Z Suite website, so that way they can be eligible to attend these club meetings.
Okay. And so with that being the case, a 4-H membership at the open enrollment period, as we've been talking about earlier, is open now. So we've got a photo contest, we've got some sewing and a spin club, and we're not done there when it comes to crafts. What's going on with your next event, Taylor?
So I had this one also that I did in Montgomery County, and it was super popular. The kids had fun with it. It's a youth beginner embroidery workshop. So the kids are going to embroider their name onto a stocking. They'll submit what their name is that they want to put on there, and they'll get to select what their stocking color is, and same with their yarn that they put their name in. And they're going to do a chain stitch and put their name into the stockings.
So make your own holiday stocking to take home for the mantle later.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, and it only costs $5. And I'm actually doing this at Kitchell Library there in Morrisonville.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That sounds like a good time there. So really, it looks like a pretty simple deal as well. So we're just trying to kind of almost introduce you to stitching. Would that be correct in that regard?
Yeah, it's a pretty basic stitch. Embroidery is one of those things that it can be really complicated, but once you kind of figure out the knot for it, it just kind of comes really easy, and you just kind of catch on, and then it leads on to wanting to explore the other stitch options.
Well, I've got to say, I would love to have a personalized stocking that I put my own time into, but as somebody that is not incredibly crafty, I would need a nice simple stitch, and it sounds like we're doing just that. Well, Taylor, let's take ourselves a quick break, if you do not mind, as we have talked about their Youth Beginner Embroidery Workshop, a 4-H fall photo contest, as well as some sewing and a spin club that takes place as well with it. We'll come back with Taylor. We've got more to talk about, plenty more to talk about as we make our way into the holidays. You're listening to WTIM, your information station, and our morning show brought to you by People's Bank and Trust and Landmark of Taylorville.
Your information station, WTIM.
Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. We're in the green with corn, beans, and wheat at this hour. December corn up 3.5, 438 3/4. March corn up 3 1/4, 452.5. May corn 460 1/4, up 3. November beans up 13.5, 1134. January beans up 13 3/4, 1147.5. March beans 1157 1/4, up 13 1/4. December wheat up 1.5, 537.5. March wheat up 1 3/4, 554 1/4. December bean meal 326.30, up 5.30. December bean oil 50.92, up 30 cents. Livestock trade, November feeders up 95 cents, 339.97. December live cattle down 315. 221.05. December lean hog 78.85, down $1.77. Energy market, December crude oil 59.04, up 55 cents.
Here's Cousin Bill from Illinois Paving.
Did you not get around to fixing that driveway this year? Man, I know you don't want to struggle in the mud this winter with a sloppy, messy, ugly, unfunctional driveway. You really need to call Illinois Paving now. We have limited days available. If you wait and call in December, we're not going to be able to help you out. But if you call now, we can get you back on a smooth, hard road and out of the muddy mess. So call Cousin Bill today. ilpaving.com.
Fall is finally here, and that means cooler weather, football, and Halloween celebrations, featuring the delicious taste of Prairie Farm seasonal milk in 1-quart cartons. This year's lineup includes fantastic fall flavors like pumpkin spice, peppermint mocha, and chocolate mint. Enjoy them on their own or as part of your favorite fall cocktail. Look for Prairie Farms flavored milk cartons at your favorite grocery stores, and then visit prairiefarms.com for coupons and delicious fall recipes. Celebrate the taste of fall with locally made, naturally delicious Prairie Farms flavored milk. If you're 40 and over, you'll recognize these artists by their first names: Frank, Dean, Sammy, Andy, Nat, Diana, Michael. Well, here's the big news. You can now hear Central Illinois' largest music library with over 3,500 songs on air and online at 965thechill.com. Tune in on the FM dial in Christian County and on your computer or smartphone. Hear these great artists and many more 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 965thechill.com. The Christian County Health Department has both COVID and flu vaccines available, with both high-dose and regular-dose flu vaccines in stock. Call and make your appointment now. Get their number and more info by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Here's Dr. Pavi Gill from Springfield Clinic, Taylorville.
Lifestyle medicine is about motivating you to improve your quality of life by changing habits and behaviors.
Find out more by clicking Dr. Gill's icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
And we're back with the WTIM Morning Show here on your information station and brought to you by Landmark of Taylorville and People's Bank and Trust. I'm your host, Grayson Bauman. Joining us in this segment, Taylor Sinclair, 4-H Youth Development Program Coordinator with the University of Illinois Extension. We were talking their 4-H Fall Photo Contest, a sewing spin club, and also a youth beginner embroidery workshop. That one on November 25th from 3 to 4 p.m. at Kitchell Memorial Library in Morrisonville. Well, you've got more, Taylor. And next up, we have a Youth Holiday Evergreen Porch Pots workshop. This one sounds like a lot of fun, and I'm just wondering what you've got going on with it.
Yeah, so last year I think we did holiday wreaths. So this year we kind of just wanted to mix it up a little bit just to kind of alternate from the year because these are really popular. So they're going to get to make their own little porch pots. So they'll still do like the little evergreens. It'll still be similar to like the wreaths, but instead they're just going to make a pot that can go outside that isn't going to be affected by the weather. You don't have to worry about because it's too cold, your plants are going to die. Mm-hmm. They're able to, live out there for that reason. So, but they're super cute. I honestly had never heard about them, but one of my coworkers was mentioning them. I was like, that sounds like a really fun opportunity.
Well, it sounds like it. I didn't personally know about it necessarily, but I mean, I guess if you get a pot and you just throw a bunch of stuff in it, it's a decoration anyway. So this time around, we're being a little more concise with it and thinking about that. What kind of goes into an evergreen porch pot?
So it's, like I said, it's kind of similar to the wreath a little bit. And it's using fresh evergreen foliage, pine cones, berries, any of the things that we're able to provide to make it. But something I will say that was really fun about this, because this is Andrew Holsinger, our horticulture educator. He is the one that's kind of like leading this. He was talking about how even though like some of the, like you make one of these porch pots, there's certain things that you can put in them that will last over the winter that you can even plan to replant outside at your house afterwards, like next year, like whenever like the warm season comes around, which I thought was really interesting because I didn't know that.
Well, and I would think honestly that's a kind of cool way too of keeping that alive, I guess. So, you bring the pot home and then you've got it as decoration, but then leave it to Andrew, though, to be able to add some of that to it as well. For you, Taylor, in this regard, how much does this one cost? Do I have to be a 4-H member?
No, you don't have to be a 4-H member for this one. The cost for this one is $15 just because it's kind of expensive to get a lot of like the evergreens and everything like that. And then the date for this one is December 9th, and it is from 5 to 6:30 there at the Extension office in Taylorville. Okay. And they're happy to email me if they want to have a direct link to it, or if they want to call the Extension office. They can even call the Extension office to register for the workshop, or they can also use my short URL that I created at go.illinois.edu/CC-porchpots25.
So you get to do a little bit of web design too behind the scenes. Okay, well, look at that. There is Taylor Sinclair, and Taylor is the 4-H Youth Development Program Coordinator with the University of Illinois Extension. And just before the year wraps up, you've got one more deal, Taylor. We've got about a minute to go here. What can you tell me about this Cook and Connect workshop?
So this is really cool. This is something that they actually did kind of like earlier on-ish in COVID. But basically we'll have like a kit that we create. We'll have the non-perishable ingredients that we put in the activity, and they'll get to go home and kind of make it with their family, which I think is really fun because I think parents really like to be able to get involved and be part of that, and just be part of their kids' journey, especially their 4-H journey a little bit. But the other thing about whenever you get to the Connect part is there's going to be an option to purchase an additional kit that we will donate to the less fortunate, so that way they can also participate in the same opportunity, basically.
Okay. Well, Taylor, I like to hear that, and that is coming up December 10th, but it looks like you can pick up those kits through December 16th through the 19th. Would that be correct?
Yes,
okay.
That is correct.
Just want to make sure. Well, Taylor, thank you so much for joining us as always here today.
Thank you.
Of course. Taylor Sinclair, 4-H Youth Development Program Coordinator with the University of Illinois Extension, telling us all about the workshops she has coming up here on WTIM, your information station.
The Big 870 WTIM.